What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to the channel. So if you are new to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and subscribe and follow and share the videos for more. So show some love. So today I'm gonna go ahead and take you through how we can set up a control baseline or you know or what we say configuration item and configuration baseline. This is very important in our work environment to determine which computers or which clients or which servers are complying to our rules and which ones are not. Because sometimes they might be hacking into your computer or they might be hacking in your work environment, and you want to make sure that your assets, the computers that you have, your servers, are not affected. You want to make sure that what you have in your work environment are in compliance to the rules that you set. So, most especially if you work in IT audits, if you're into information systems, you might have already come across, baselines, setting up baselines, letting our computers, our clients, our servers meet this, our system meet these baselines. So this is where it starts from. This is where it starts from. So let's get started. So I do have my SCCM already powered up, and within my console, when we go to assets and compliance, under assets and compliance, we see compliance settings. Now, when we expand that, we see configuration item and configuration baseline. So we create a configuration item and we create a configuration baseline, and this baseline use this configuration item to determine if a computer or a client or a server is compliant to the rules that we set it to or non-compliant to the rules that we set it to. So let's get started and work on it. So we want to create a configuration item. So we want to right click on it and hit create configuration item. Now I'm gonna go ahead and create a configuration item based on setting or a file that I already do have in my C drive. So I'm gonna go ahead and name it. Let's just use Internet Explorer. So I'm gonna go ahead and name it 1.0 Internet EXP. So this is my file, the name of the file. So this means that if the client computers, if the servers find this 1.0 Internet Explorer on their C drive on their computer, then it means that it is compliant. But if it doesn't find this on there, then it means they are non-compliant. So let's hit next. This means that you pretty much want to select the kind of uh, computers or servers or versions you have on your environment. This is just for training purposes, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit next. And then we want to set up uh, the configuration item settings. These are very important. That way, it determines whether a computer or a client or a server is compliant or not. It means that we determine if the values that we want to use, we determine if we're going to use a file. Like I already said, we're going to use Internet Explorer, so it's a file. So if the file is found on this computer, then it's compliant. And it's pretty much just asking us where the location of the file is and all that. So let's get started and work on it too. So I'm gonna put 1.0 Internet EXP settings. And you can, pretty much add some description to it to make it nice. I mean, in a work environment, you want to make sure that everything is nice and beautiful, so you just want to fill out the description and make it look pretty good. And we can also do the same, configuration item by setting up a registry key and all that. But in this case, like I said, we're using a file. So I'm gonna go ahead and select file system and select a file for me. And it's asking me where is the path, where is this file, where can we find this file, which is going to determine if the computer or client is compliant or not. So select the path and C drive, and I'm going to go into my program file, and I'm using Internet Explorer, which is right here. Let me expand it a little bit. I'm using Internet Explorer, and the file that I'm using should be iexplorer.exe. So this is the file that I'm using. And it means that if the computers, the client computers or the servers find this file within their system, then the rule that I created is working and it should be compliant. If it finds this file with the version that I'm gonna go and set the rule to, then it's compliant. So let's go ahead and select this one as well. The selected file must be compliant with the following rule, and this is the rule. So I'm gonna select the file version and I'm gonna select greater than or equal to. So this means that if the client computers, if the servers or the systems that I'm using in my environment find this very file version which is greater or equal to this IE Explorer.exe, this very version, or which is greater than this, then it means that our computer is compliant to the rules that we are setting. But if it finds a version which is lower than this, then it means that the particular computer is non-compliant to the rules that we set. So let's hit OK, and we can hit OK, we can hit apply, and OK, and we hit next, 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 and our configuration item is done. You can pretty much right click on it, go to properties and make any changes that you want. You can, make any changes if you want to, but we should be good right now. And we're gonna go ahead and set up our configuration baseline as well. You right click on it, create configuration baseline, we give it a name. So I'm gonna go ahead and say 1.0 internet exp baseline, and I'm gonna just skip the description. And here I'm gonna go ahead and select the configuration item we created because this baseline needs the item to be able to work and determine if the computers or the system or the servers are compliant or not. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the configuration item we created earlier on, which is this, and add, and then we can click OK, OK, and our baseline is done. Now, when we go back to configuration item, we can edit it, and we can also edit. We can right click on it, go to properties, and we can also edit it here, our baseline here. But we should be good now. Now we see here that the status is enabled. We haven't deployed it yet. We see user settings, date modified, and it gives us a compliant count just in case, let's say we do have about 2,000 uh, clients or computers within our environment. It's gonna give us the number of computers which are compliant to the rule that we set, It's going to give us a number of computers which are non-compliant, and it will give us the fail count as well. So let's just go ahead and right click on it to deploy this baseline, and we can, remediate non-compliant rules when supported if we want to, just as it says, we can try to generate an alert, which is going to be very important if you work in a huge environment, or if you are in a work environment. This is very important to generate an alert, to indicate, showing the percentage of computers or systems or clients which are compliant and which are not compliant as well. We can, give it a date and time and all that, and we can determine if we are applying or deploying this baseline to a certain group of users, or if we are deploying it to all the people within, all users within our organization, or are we deploying it to a certain computers, or are we deploying it to all computers within our system? This is just for training purposes, so I'm going to go ahead and select all systems within our network. Hit OK. And basically, if you're in a work environment, this should be a lot of people. I see a lot of people set it to 7 days. So every 7 days is going to run and, scan to see if we do have this baseline within the computers to determine if it's compliant or not. But because we are in a training environment, I'm going to go ahead and set it to 7 minutes. So we can see status enabled and it's deployed. Can refresh that. And then I do have a client computer already set up, and I do have a client computer already booted up. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into that and let's see how it works. If that client computer is gonna be compliant to the rule that we just set, to the baseline we just created or not. So let's go to our client computer one. This is our client computer one. And we just got to go through the control panel to locate our configuration manager on the client side. Configuration manager on the client side. Once we click on it, now because we set it to 7 minutes, it hasn't been 7 minutes yet. We want to make sure that the rule, to know that the rule we created, the baseline we created is working. So just for training purposes, we're gonna go ahead and trigger it to work right away instead of waiting 7 minutes. So, to trigger it, you just need to run a specific one. You can run this and then it will trigger it for us to see the rule we just created, the baseline we just created. All right. Now, once you're done, but in the actual work environment, you don't need to do this because SCCM is going to run on its own to, make everything work on that side. But because this is training, we want to see the outcome. That's why I'm doing this. So once you did that, now we're going to go ahead and go to configuration to see and check and find the rule that we created. So as we can see, we have 1.0 internet ESP baseline, which is right here. We want to refresh that again, and then we want to evaluate it if it's compliant or if it's non-compliant. So we hit evaluate, and there you go. As you can see, it's compliant, which means that this client computer is compliant to the rule that we say. It's compliant to the baseline we created. It means that if we go to the C drive and we go to program files and we go to Internet Explorer, it means that we are definitely going to get our iexplorer.exe file right here, which shows that this computer is compliant. And this is the version we created it for, the file version. This is the version. So if it had found an older version which is lesser than this, it would have been non-compliant. But any version which is equal to this or greater than this should be good for the computer to be compliant. So this is how we create configuration baselines and configuration item to determine if a computer within our environment is compliant or not. As we can see, it's compliant, and we can go ahead and generate a report, and there you go. You see that the name of the computer is client 1, and the evaluation time baseline, the name of the baseline we created, and status, which is compliant. You know that this gives us more details. So yeah, this is how we create a baseline. If you don't know how baselines are created, this is how we do that within SCCM. And within my later videos, I'm gonna go ahead and create controls within our Windows server, creating controls within our server, and then within our using GPUs, you know, most especially I'm gonna go ahead and focus on the 20 control family, or the 20 family control, however you want to call it. I'm gonna go ahead and show you practical hands-on how we configure these controls within some of the controls within the 20 family controls. I'm gonna go ahead and do that in my next video. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you share the video, and make sure you follow, and be right back in my next video. Thank you for watching. Peace.